Привет, друзья! Сегодня мы поговорим о российских сериалах, которые вы можете посмотреть в Америке. Alright, hi everyone. As I said earlier, today we're going to be talking about Russian TV shows, specifically Russian TV shows which are available to be watched in America, and I'm going to be giving some of my recommendations and telling you about some of my favorite shows that I have watched in Russian. Obviously, if you are currently learning Russian or you speak Russian, these shows are great for your language acquisition, but even if you don't speak Russian, I think that some of these shows are super enjoyable and super fun for anyone to watch. We are currently about 1 year into the COVID pandemic, and maybe you have blown through everything on your Netflix or Amazon and are looking for some new series to watch. Maybe you're just wanting to travel vicariously through some good old television. I have been watching these shows in part because I really wish that I was traveling and able to go to Russia right now. So I think that even though this list is sort of geared towards people who want to improve their Russian language speaking, it really anyone can watch them. They have subtitles. Go wild. So I know that when I first started learning Russian, I was always recommended to try to consume more Russian language media, you know, music, TV, movies, etc. However, finding a place to start can be really difficult, especially in the US where, you know, there aren't a lot of Russian language TV shows and movies and stuff on servers like Netflix. It can be really hard to sort of wade through them and to know where to start. So today I want to give you some recommendations of some series that I have enjoyed. If people like this video, I can also make some follow-ups about like movies or music that are accessible in the US in Russian as well. Also, if I keep looking down, it is because I have my handy dandy notebook here. I just made a list of some stuff to like make sure I don't miss anything. Okay, so we're gonna start with things that are on Netflix. In general, I find that there are less Russian language series on Netflix. However, the ones that are on Netflix tend to be a bit higher in their like production value than some of the ones that are found on Amazon, but there are less of them. So the first one that I want to recommend is a show called Fatsa. Yes, I know that's the most unfortunate name any show could have. But in Russian, it's not that unfortunate. It's actually short for fortsovchik, which is essentially a word for black marketeers during the Soviet period. And that's what the show is about. The show, which was produced in 2015 and has 1 season, so it's all about them sort of getting involved in this world of black marketeering, but at the same time, the things that they are selling are all things that are like trendy and Western. And I think that the production value of this show is actually quite good. It's a super fun show, 60s in Moscow. So definitely recommend that one. And again, it's on Netflix and there is 1 season out, but the episodes are about 50 minutes each, so lots of viewing for you. The second show is one that you might have heard about because it was quite popular on Netflix towards the end of 2020, and that is To the Lake, or its Russian name, which is Epidemia. This series, which was produced in 2019, is about a global pandemic, and it follows a small cast of characters who are sort of thrown together by chance and are trying to escape and find a safe place from this pandemic. Obviously, the show right now might hit a little bit closer to home, considering its topic matter. However, it was produced in 2019, so before anyone really knew anything about COVID. Also, the pandemic in question in this show is definitely a lot scarier and a lot more deadly than anything that we're dealing with right now. It's definitely a little bit more suspenseful, a little scarier. It kind of reminds me of The Walking Dead, but obviously with a pandemic as opposed to just straight up zombies. I'm not going to give any spoilers about what happens. I'm actually still in the process of watching the show. I've been watching it really slowly because I don't do very well with suspense, and I tend to watch a lot of TV in the evening, and this is a show that I know personally I cannot watch right before I go to bed. I will have nightmares. The whole like pandemic suspenseful thing, it just really freaks me out. So I've been watching it very slowly, but have been really enjoying it when I am watching it. So I definitely recommend this series. The production value is very, very high. I believe it's based off of a novel by the same name, and has been recently renewed for a second season, which was delayed because of COVID, obviously, but hopefully will be bought by Netflix as well sometime in the next year. Okay, so those were my 2 recommendations off of Netflix. So now we're gonna move on to shows that are on Amazon Prime. As I said, there are a lot more shows on Amazon Prime. However, I also feel like some of the shows that are on Amazon Prime are either a bit older or the quality is maybe not as good. So these are the ones that I found on Amazon Prime that I enjoy. So number 1 is sort of a classic. I think that a lot of people who are learning Russian have probably heard of this show, and that is Katarina. This is a 2014 sort of sweeping historical drama. It has 2 seasons. I think they might be listed separately on Amazon, but they are both on Amazon Prime. So if you have a Prime membership, you can watch it for free. And essentially what this show is about, it follows the arrival, marriage, and sort of rise to power of Catherine the Great. Obviously, super badass lady. This show does take a lot of historical liberties, I would say, so if you're really in it for the history, this might not be one for you. But if you're looking for like a good sort of romantic, high drama historical piece, this is a really good show for you. It's really similar to The Tudors. I actually have a sneaking suspicion that this is sort of Russia's direct response to the popularity of The Tudors, because it is very similar. But it's a super fun show to watch. The episodes each are about 45 minutes, I believe, and there's 2 seasons, so there's a lot of material there to go through. And in general, it's just, I think, a really fun and accessible way to learn a little bit more about Catherine the Great's early years, even if it isn't the most historically accurate. Okay, so number 2 on the Amazon list is another historical drama. However, this one takes it back a few hundred years, and that is Sofia. I don't remember off the top of my head when this show came out, although I will put the number down here somewhere. This show is set in 15th century Russia and follows Sofia, the last Byzantine princess who is married to Ivan III. Obviously, this is a period before Russia was sort of consolidated, before Russia was an empire, so it deals with a lot of the politics going on between the various princes, and also Sofia as she's trying to navigate being introduced into this new Russian society, having formerly been raised in Rome. Again, I think it has come under fire a little bit for some historical inaccuracies, but at the same time, I think that when you're watching some of these historical dramas, you have to sort of suspend your historical expectations just a little bit for the sake of sort of the plot. Nonetheless, I think that this show is really interesting. I haven't seen very many Russian TV shows covering this period, or just TV shows in general. Usually historical dramas in Russia are set a little bit later in the imperial period, so it's really nice to see a show that is set pre-Romanov. Okay, so the next one, shifting away from the historical dramas for just a moment, is one that used to be on Netflix, however now it's on Amazon, and it's a bit more sort of fun, casual, and it's called The Sniffer, or in Russian, Nuhach. This is a detective series, however it is a detective series with a big twist, and that is the sort of lead character has an extraordinary sense of smell, and he uses his sense of smell to solve crimes. This might sound a little bit ridiculous, but it's a lot of fun and is maybe a little bit lighter than some of the other shows that I have suggested here. This show was first produced in 2013 and ran for 4 seasons, I believe. The first 3 seasons are available on Amazon Prime with an Amazon Prime membership, so again, a lot of material there, and this is a particularly good one for people learning to speak Russian, because I think that the language in this show is a bit more modern than some of the other ones that I have suggested, so it can be really useful if you're trying to learn the language. Also, if you're not into historical dramas, which I personally am, but if you prefer more sort of like crime, action stuff, this is a great show for you. And then the final recommendation I have on this list is not a show I have actually watched, however it is on my to be watched list, and that is Love in Chains, or the Russian name Krepostanya. This is another 2019 show. It's another historical drama, and the premise of this show is essentially a young woman who has been raised like a noblewoman but is actually a serf, which, if you know anything about the system of serfdom in Russia, it persisted for a very long time, well into the 1800s. And under this system, peasants essentially were tied to the land, essentially were slaves. So that is this woman's predicament, and she falls in love with a noblewoman. However, her sort of benefactor owns her and does not want her to, and will not allow her to marry this man because he wants her for himself. As far as I know, it's not based on any sort of actual historical events and is much more of a fictitious story set in a real time period, but nonetheless deals with some interesting topics like serfdom in Russia and sort of the systems of nobility that existed during the Russian Empire. As I said, I haven't watched this show personally, however, I'm hoping to once I finish some of the other shows that I'm watching. I've watched the trailers for it and they look really good. The production quality looks quite high, and the acting as well looks good. It was produced in 2019, so it's quite recent, and I've heard a lot of good things about it, so I'm really looking forward to watching it. So that concludes my recommendations of Russian language TV shows that are on US platforms. I only gave about like 6, just because I didn't want to overwhelm you with all of them. Also, I haven't watched every single Russian language series that is on Netflix or Amazon at this point, but I'll also be linking a list down below which has, I think, a compendium of all the different Russian language series that are on Netflix and Amazon. If people enjoyed this video and would like to hear more of my like Russian media recommendations as an American, I would be happy to make more videos about like music or movies or books, etc. So if you enjoyed this video and like to see more, definitely give this video a like, or put down in the comments sort of like what sort of content you would like to see, if this was something you enjoyed, if you have any questions about watching Russian TV series in the US. Also, if you like this video and are interested in Russia, definitely subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell notification so that you get notifications every time I post a video, and we can learn more about Russia together. All right, so that's all I have for today. Go forth, watch the Russian series. Пока-пока.